Okay, so picture this scenario. You're playing Punchy McSaltmaker and a team fight is about to begin. So, you go for your cheeky Oasis flank pick, and by the time you get to the end, you realize that nobody's there and you're caught in this situation because you are a scrub like me. So it's easy to think, what do? Well, with this series, I help you to optimize your gameplay for scenarios like this. So, if you find this helpful, please be sure to give it a like and sub to your boy to stay up to date with this series. Whew, boy, you never cease to amaze me with your botness show. When you're going for high-risk flanks such as this one on Oasis with Doomfist, knowing how to adapt to the situation is very, very crucial. So when your plan doesn't necessarily go as planned, it's best to try to get out the situation as best as possible, and here's why.
Run, bitch! Run!
Yo, playing as Doomfist, I cannot tell you how many times I tried to go for a cheeky flank and the team is already rotated and I'm put in a situation like this. But because I have so much first-hand knowledge of being in scenarios like this, it's easy for me to determine exactly what to do in said scenario. When approaching a scenario like this, the first thing I noticed is the silhouette of my teammates, which made me start the flank in the first place. When I'm confronted with the Reaper, I have to realize that my team and their team are still inside the engagement, so I'm still stuck behind enemy lines. When approaching this situation blindly, you have to assume worst case, meaning that Reaper has all ammo inside of his clip and both of his abilities off of cooldown. Given that I have two abilities on cooldown and he has an ability to negate my only ability not on cooldown, his Wraith, it's best to just escape out the scenario. There's nothing wrong with running out of a situation that you cannot win in. It's best to live to fight another day than just die hoping that you get a pick randomly. But this is the beauty between Doomfist and Reaper. Outside of Shadow Step, which is a very predicted and limited ability, Doomfist has way more mobility than Reaper. If you can get Reaper to use all of his cooldowns, you actually can get into the team fight well before Reaper can, and put damage into his team well before he can put damage into yours. Because you have to remember, you're behind their lines, so you will engage into their team before he can engage into yours. So essentially, not only is running in this situation more optimal for your life in this case because of your cooldowns, you're actually put inside a scenario where it's a 5v6 because of his limited mobility. This in part can play a mental mind game onto your opponent, as they can assume that their DPS isn't doing much of a job because they essentially can't see what happens, and making assumptions of your teammates often have negative impacts, which then plays a more mental strain on your opponents. And I already know what a lot of you guys are thinking. But Joe, if you kill the Reaper, it'll be a 5v6 anyways. You would be correct, sir or madam. If you did kill the Reaper, you would be at a 5v6 for their team. But when dealing with Reaper, you always have to look at your strengths versus their strengths. And in this case, the map plays heavily into Reaper's strengths. Yes, it is true, Reaper did do Wraith by the time your cooldowns are ready. But look at the positioning of the stage. It is open. Trying to get a wall slam on Reaper, which Doomfist really needs to win the 1v1 battle, is almost impossible in a case like this because of the positioning of the stage and where you are as the player. So it's best not to play in situations that benefit your opponent unless you absolutely have no other choice. So let's recap. When going for a blind flank in a situation like this in Oasis, and none of your cooldowns connected with the opponent, it's best to try to get out the situation, make use of them exerting their cooldowns, and try to return back to the team fight if possible to put them in a 5v6 scenario. So that's it for this episode of What Do. I hope this video shed a little bit of light into helping you guys optimize your gameplay. So until I see you guys again, peace, love, and show out.